So Robert contacted me with a question that I've been thinking about myself recently. So let's get into it. And if you learned something today, please hit the like button and feel free to share this with others who may find this useful. Hello, I'm Robert and I'm a team lead in a small financial services firm. Things have been really busy at work lately and I just can't seem to find enough time during the day to do what I want to do. I've tried various time management techniques and prioritization models, but I simply can't seem to get it working for me. Why aren't these methods working for me? And what should I be doing differently? So does this sound familiar? Time is the one thing that we have a finite, determinable amount of. And the more ambitious we are, the worse it seems to be. Because we need to try and fit everything we want to do into the time that we have available. Now, I believe most of us are fairly intelligent. We know the answer to this question, which is focus on the stuff that is important, ignore the stuff that is not, and don't waste time by performing unnecessary actions. Easy, right? I mean, helpful people have even gone so far as to create nifty little models with catchy names like Eisenhower Matrix and Pomodoro and so forth to help illustrate this point. So why do people still struggle with this? Well, I'll submit 5 possible reasons and then show you how to address these in a very practical manner. And no, I'm not going to give you yet another groundbreaking model. Rather, I'm going to try and remove some confusion and create clarity on some principles that, if you struggle with this, should allow you to solve this for yourself. Here are the 5 reasons that I suggest are most at fault, and any combination of these could be holding you back. Number 1. You are confusing prioritization and time management. These are not the same things. Number 2, you are trying to apply a model on only one part of your life, not everything. Number 3, you have not yet decided what is really important to you and what isn't. Number 4, you're planning on the detail level much too quickly. And then at the end, I'll share with you the biggest reason your prioritization and time management efforts will frustratingly fail even if you get everything right up to this point. So stick around and let's get to point number 1. It is amazing how many people get this wrong all the time. Effective prioritization and effective time management is not the same thing, although they work hand in hand. Think of a gearbox and an engine for a car. They are not the same things, but you cannot drive the car if one of them is absent or broken. And it's not just an artificial differentiation either. You need to understand your real challenge, otherwise you may be using the wrong tools to solve it, and that's not going to help you at all. For example, you might be super efficient. In other words, you get things done in a short amount of time, but if you are working on the wrong things, that doesn't help you. This is a prioritization issue. Or conversely, you might be correctly spending time on the right things, but you struggle and you can never get anything done. This is a time management challenge. So this is what you need to remember. Prioritization determines the items that you are going to spend time on, and time management is your ability to make the necessary time available to spend on those priorities. Without prioritization, time management is fairly useless and pointless. So it always has to be in that order. Your personal and your professional lives are not separate. They are interconnected and they're part of you as a whole being. When you define your priorities and the time you can spend on each, you have to include all 24 hours that you have available in a day. Include everything that deserves focus. Now, this may be obvious, but it really starts here. You have to define what is important to you. What are the things that allow you to take care of your responsibilities? And what are the things that allow you to live the life that you wish to live? In the context of time management and prioritization, you have to take stock of everything that you are spending time on, and you must also include the things that you want to spend time on but are not doing so at the moment. So this is what you need to do. First, make a list and write down everything. Your work, your family, kids, your spouse or partner, the hobbies that you do, your health and fitness, sleeping, reading, resting. Don't forget resting. But not only of the things that you think are important, everything that you currently spend time on. This includes watching TV, shopping, spending time on social media, etc. Now, take these items and group them into two big categories, the one being professional and the other one being personal. And then list the relevant items under each of these groupings. And here you can go into much more detail. So for example, with the work grouping, you can list things like answering emails, drafting proposals, personal one-on-one engagements, creating or reviewing reports, networking, etc. And then lastly, color code each of the items in both groups. Green are the items that require your focus and attention. Yellow are for the ones that are optional, and red are the ones that you should not be spending any time on at all. If it doesn't help you take care of your responsibilities or move you forward in the direction that you really want to go, then it shouldn't be a priority and you shouldn't be spending any time on it. But there's a last point here, and this is important. Context matters. You may decide that watching gratuitous TV is no longer a priority for you, but you and your partner might enjoy watching a specific series, especially in the evenings once the kids are in bed. And the time that you two spend together here is very important to you. No one can judge your choices. And if this is important to you, you have to include it. Now, we know from experience, this is just not the easiest thing to do, understanding what you value, what is important, and what you should leave out. But it's a critically important step if you want to make sure that you spend the right amount of time on the things that take you forward the best. And this is why we developed our system, which is contained in the Beyond the Paycheck guide, which is an easy to follow, proven system designed to help you define an ideal future reality and then help you plan how to move from where you are now to where you want to be. You can get your own copy right now. The link is in the description. It's absolutely free, and you can start using that today. Now, from the start on this one, I want to be really clear. Flexibility here does not mean that you allow for time to be spent now and again on things that are simply time wasters, given your list of priorities and what's important to you. That will inevitably happen. We're not machines, but it's not intentional. No, the biggest mistake people make here is that they try and allocate time to priorities in a much too rigid fashion, with way too much detail planned in everywhere. Life is not predictable. If it were, things would have been very easy. Now, as soon as you start actively planning your day, things will happen that will try and derail you. You know this, I know this, it happens every day. So accept that and work with it, not against it. And this is how. Do you remember those two big groups that we created earlier, the personal group and the professional group? So you start here. And also consider that we have now created priorities, and what we now need to do is manage our time to get to those priorities. So first, take your calendar and then allocate time broadly to these two groups. The time or the times of day that you are focusing on work and career, and the time of day that is set aside for your personal matters. These can be broad allocations that apply every day or only Monday to Friday or only specific days of the week. It's up to you. You can decide as long as you broadly allocate work time, personal time. And then once you have this in place, now you take the elements under each group and create space for them under these primary allocations. The time you wish to allocate to emails or deep work or networking and sales, or time with the kids, or for reading, or for a hobby, or for working out. Now, and this is really important, don't treat these like exclusion zones. Remember, life happens and you need some level of flexibility here. Rather treat these as priority zones. So for example, if you've allocated 10 to 10:30 in the morning to handle emails, then email has a priority here unless something with a higher priority suddenly requires your attention. Now, because you're handling this as priority zones, not exclusion zones, you can quickly adapt and handle these ad hoc once-off situations without feeling guilty about it and without beating yourself up that you've not been able to keep to this very rigid time schedule that you have defined. Now, consider that this is also a learning opportunity. You see, if it happens frequently that in a specific priority zone something else requires your attention, then you have to reevaluate the time that you have allocated to the various priorities. Okay, what do we have so far? We've identified the things that should be priorities, given our personal and our professional needs. We have principally allocated time in each day to attend to these items in a manner that takes us forward to our goals and our ambitions. We've also done this in a manner that creates priority time allocation, but still allows a measure of flexibility for situations where it is right to do so without beating ourselves up about it or feeling that we have lost the plot yet again. But, and here's the kicker, all of this effort will still fail if we don't do one more thing. You are not living your life in isolation. There are other people out there who demand your time and attention, and some of them can be very demanding. Now, whether it's your spouse or your partner or your kids or your boss or your clients who might be acting like kids, doesn't matter. Once you have completed all this work that we discussed previously, it is absolutely critical that you engage with the relevant people in your life and you tell them, these are my priorities and this is what my schedule is going to look like, because it is my way to get more effective and more efficient in what I'm doing. Let them in, because you are going to need their support. And when you do this, you may realize that in this spirit of transparency, some of your planning is simply not going to work because there are other demands on your time, or your schedule might be imposing unfair demands on others, which then gives you an opportunity to reevaluate and perhaps make adjustments as necessary. It gives you a much better probability of sticking to your planning and actually have a chance of making it happen. Priority is not static. Life changes and the context in which we live matters. Make sure that you review the effectiveness of your efforts daily, especially at the beginning of this process. It allows you to make the changes you need so you can really benefit from effective prioritization and great time management to get things done. But this means you also need to rather frequently evaluate your goals and your focus points to check that they're still relevant and that they still require focus and that you're still on track to achieve them. Well, that's it in a nutshell. So if you think it's deserved, please remember to hit the like button and feel free to share this with anybody who you think might get value from this advice. Also, a sub to the channel would be awesome.